Good evening, everybody. The Music Fan is back, bringing smiles to the faces, knowledge to the people, and most importantly, music to the masses. And I am back with another Are You In? Strangely enough, I've been able to find another theme for these next two videos. And that theme is, we're looking at two artists or bands from United Kingdom. Without further ado, we are starting off with the newest Keane album entitled Cause and Effect. Keane is an alt-rock, pop-rock, post-Brit-pop band from Battle, East Sussex, England. Members include Tom Chaplin on lead vocals, electronic and acoustic guitar, organ, and piano, Tim Rice-Oxley on piano, keyboards, synthesizers, electric guitar, bass, and backing vocals, Richard Hughes on drums, percussion, and backing vocals, and Jesse Quinn on bass, acoustic, and electric guitar, synthesizers, percussion, and backing vocals. Previous albums include Hopes and Fears in 2004, Under the Iron Sea in 2006, Perfect Symmetry in 2008, and Strangeland in 2012. Now this might come as a shocker to you guys, but I am a huge Keane fan. I absolutely adore their first two albums, Hopes and Fears and Under the Iron Sea. A lot of people, when you think about the pop rock, alt rock, piano rock from the 2000s, you think more of Coldplay. And that definitely does make sense, but not too far behind there was Keane, having a beautiful mix of rock and piano ballads, with Tom Chaplin bringing some beautiful vocals to this band. Yeah, they weren't necessarily the most diverse band, nor were they one of the more complex bands, but they did bring a lot of quality arrangements and quality singles to the table. Who can forget Somewhere Only We Know, or The Last Time, or even going off of, personally, one of my favorite pop albums from the 2000s. Basically anything from Under the Iron Sea, Crystal Ball, Is It Any Wonder, Nothing in My Way, Leaving So Soon, Atlantic. All of these songs are phenomenal. Under the Iron Sea, if you've never listened to that album and you love some good piano, pop rock, alt rock, you're gonna love this album. There's just so much to choose from on here. Even one of my newer favorites that I have grown to appreciate over the years, Hamburg Song, is absolutely lovely. There is not really one song on there that I can say that I hate at all, and so many of them are so catchy and so lovely. One good thing about Keane is when they do piano ballads, they do it right. And Hamburg Song is no different. Oh my god, how did I forget the song that got me into them? It wasn't Somewhere Only We Know. Actually, I hated that song when it first came out. What drew me to them was watching Scrubs and hearing A Bad Dream, which was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, and it hooked me into that CD and that band. Perfect Symmetry, I don't remember much of. In Strangeland, it was solid, but it didn't hit the highs of those first two albums. And then they went on a hiatus. From what I understand, it was because Tom Chaplin was not feeling comfortable with stardom, with making it big. So he wanted to be able to go back into a normal life for a little bit. So that's where the hiatus comes in. Also, an important note as this hiatus happened, Tim Rice-Oxley's marriage ended. And that is actually a huge theme throughout this album. The idea of cause and effect is based on the actions that Tim Rice-Oxley and his wife had taken over the years, and the effects that they had because of that, and the reasons why they led up to their divorce. So 7 years later, I am hugely excited to be able to finally review a new Keane album. And of course I listened to the first single, which is The Way I Feel, thought it was solid, and was looking forward to take a look at this album. First time around though, I will say I wasn't a huge fan. There wasn't much that stood out to me. But gave it a second and third try, and I am happy to say that this is a solid return. Now, a lot of these songs are dealing with Tim's divorce and how it led to there, and it makes for some really interesting storytelling. The one that culminates the best on here is Stupid Things. Now, it's not necessarily from Tim's perspective, but it's based on a character that you could put in Tim's stead to show what has happened over the years. Basically, what this character is someone who has accumulated some wealth and now has become more attracted to other people. It starts everything nicely, not really falling into temptation, but slowly things change. He starts being away from home more often, and he's making excuses, which happen on the chorus. It's talking about, I drank too much, it was a working lunch, my phone's not working, I have a second phone now so I don't have to talk to you. I'm going to stay in town and crash with my friends, don't wait up for me. All this is callous to this person cheating on their wife, and then bad things happen. And from the lyrics, the wife knows that this is happening, but they keep playing this game anyways. It's the stupid things that they do. The storytelling is really interesting, and I do enjoy the minimal verse giving way to this really upbeat chorus with some beautiful melodies and harmonies. One thing that you cannot fault ever for Keane is that they are great at making some choruses, and this album definitely has some great choruses on there. Leading into I'm Not Leaving, which has a little bit of a darker vibe to it. This one is from the perspective of Tim talking to his daughter, saying that even though he won't be there in the marriage anymore, he'll still be there for them. The chorus is absolutely gorgeous. Tom does a phenomenal falsetto throughout that whole entire chorus part. The drum work is some of the more solid on the album. I do enjoy this like very soft, atmospheric arrangement. It feels honestly more like a Coldplay song than a Keane song, but it still works really well. And then there's also some great harmonies on the second chorus, leading to some very tense points. The only wish is that it could have been a little bit longer because the song is so enjoyable. It's one of the highlights on the album. Another one with a great chorus is Chase the Night Away. This one feels quintessential Keane. You could have definitely heard this off any of their previous albums. The verses are super pop rock. The melody is simplistic yet effective, but the chorus is where it kicks into high gear with some great energy, some great melodies, and great harmonies, making for a really solid and effective song. This is where Tim is talking about hopefully finding someone down the line that will be better for him in the future, that he can love more passionately and more purely. There's a lot of very vulnerable songs on this album. Tim is definitely talking about a lot of what has gone on in his life since the last Keane album, dealing with the relationship and learning and growing from that, and hopefully explaining some of his actions. One song like that is Thread, which is another one of these beautiful ballads on the album. There are some really solid minimalist ballads on here that give a lot of vulnerability to what is going on in his life. This one is talking about how Kim was always trying to find that balance of being the perfect husband and being perfect with the marriage, but making sure that never anything felt like it was going to fall apart. And it was this difficult thread that he had to weave. The verses are very soft, and the chorus have a lot of emotional energy for a really beautiful song. Another one of these ballads is Strange Room. It's talking about, in this case, drinking and driving, but it could be anything of how your mind can conjure up denials and reasons and excuses for your bad decisions. Strange Room feels a little bit more like Hamburg Song in its simplicity. It does have a little bit of drums eventually in there, but it's a very simplistic song with a lot of really good emotion. If there's any problem with it, it's the repetitious nature of some of the verse work, but overall it leaves for a lot of really good storytelling on this song. It's another one of these highlights that just shows how good Keane can be with ballads. There are also some more atmospheric songs, kind of reminiscent of stuff off of Under the Iron Sea. Those being Turn the Radio On and You're Not Home. You're Not Home is the opener, and it's a very slow build. I really enjoy the layering of the electronic synth parts as they build to a climax about a minute and a half in before Tom comes in with his vocals. Very soft, very simplistic, giving way for this more atmospheric arrangement. Most of the verses are solid, however the chorus melody isn't as interesting. It eventually hits a crescendo with the drums, piano, and guitar coming in, with a decent payoff, but to me, not justifiable for the length of the song. Put the Radio On is also another one of these more atmospheric songs. The cool thing about it is the first half of the song is very minimal with basically one chord playing throughout it, making it feel a little more atmospheric, feeling psychedelic. And because of this repetition, it gives Tom a lot of room to play around with different melody ideas. I like how it starts building more melody ideas as it goes on. But I think the chord progression during the chorus is not as interesting. It goes on a little bit too long and doesn't mesh as well as it should with the rest of the song. But the Radio On, it's the start of talking about what Tom was doing with cheating and his infidelity and how he rationalized everything. Basically, it was a rationalization of, I need a moment of peace. I need something a little bit different in my life. We're just going to put the radio on and make sure that no one else hears what's going on and enjoy this moment when we can. And then it kept repeating and kept going on, which, of course, was a catalyst to the divorce. And You're Not Home is the after effects of this divorce, or while the divorce is going on, where Tim is coming home to a place that he doesn't feel comfortable with anymore because she's not there. What once was a comforting home is now ruined. It now feels empty, it feels isolated. He feels isolation, he feels scared, he feels not welcome. A lot of really good imagery throughout both of these songs talking about each step leading to the divorce, the cause and effect, if you will. And we also got a couple of singles, The Way I Feel and Love Too Much. The Way I Feel has a lot of really good standard Keane energy. I also really enjoy the chorus idea where it's 10 measures long, going with a 6 measure idea and then a 4 measure idea and then repeating that. There's a lot of really good energy. The verse and the choruses are solid, and I really enjoy the very atmospheric bridge where Tom is able to use some really nice falsetto as well. That is also a staple of what he can do. He has some great high range, and it shows off on a song like this. However, on the flip side, Love Too Much is notably the most poppy song on the album. The verses are alright, but the choruses are a little bit too wordy. This is one song where Tom doesn't sound good at all on it. It feels like a lot of it's very breathy and the support's not there. From what I understand, Tim was listening to a lot of Taylor Swift and other pop stars when he wrote this, and it shows that it's a pretty bland and unoriginal song. Though the sentiment of saying that he was loving too hard and he was trying to be there too much as a husband, as a lover, is an interesting idea. The other two songs on the album kind of wrap up the theme of what's going on, hopefully for the better. Phases is a song about how life has its cycles, and even when things fall apart, there always will be another chapter, so you have to understand that that is happening. Like the same idea with The Way I Feel. Everyone has their problems, everyone has their mistakes, everyone has their new chapters, and we all have to go through it no matter what happened beforehand. Phases has a slower pop rock vibe. The chorus itself has some interesting chord progression ideas, specifically the half-step work in the strings. The chords are being held, but the strings go down a half-step and then come back up. There's also some very solid vocals on the chorus, though the melody on the verses aren't as interesting. Also, it could have been a little bit longer, so that's why it's not one of my favorite songs on here. But the closer, I Need Your Love, is really solid in its space, in its simplicity, and also how everyone works together on this song. This is the only song on here where I believe every person in the band is singing together on the chorus. It makes for one of the more powerful choruses on the album. This song, of course, is talking about how we all need love, and we all need healthy love. Yes, there was some pretty bad things that happened in the relationship between these people and reasons for them to be divorced, but there's also potentially reasons as to just them not working out. And understanding that, like, as you're older, love takes on different forms. It's not just the passionate physical nature of love when you're younger. It's more of a companionship and someone that you could see with for the rest of your life. Tim said that he thought that he could see this person with them for the rest of their life, but as fate would have it, it didn't work out that way. This last song gives you a kind of an ambiguous ending. There's a lot of good things that came out of this album by him learning to be a better lover and a better father, but also there is this ambiguity of where next thing will be in his life. It makes for this neutral ending, but it's also a really nice ender as well. It's really anthemic. I really enjoyed this 5-measure idea for the chorus, and it has a really solid chord progression. Though I will say the verse melody is pretty standard, and the arrangement itself isn't like the most complex, but the energy itself makes up for the rest of the song. And also that rubato bridge with some lovely falsetto from Tom is also pretty effective. Overall, I am pleasantly surprised with this album. There's a lot of really good stuff on here, and yes, there are some weaker songs, some pop ideas that just don't work, but overall, it's really solid. It gets better as the album goes on. Some of the worst songs on the album start the album. You're Not Home, Love Too Much, The Way I Feel, Put the Radio On. 4 of the weakest 5 songs on the album. As we go on, the rest of the album does so much better. I'm really happy to see Keane back. I love their style. I love their vibe. They make some really sweet pop music, and even though pop has changed a lot since the last time they've been around, they're still really solid, and I would hope that you at least take a look at this album as well. I'm going to say that this is worth a full listen. Yes, there's a caveat, though some of the weaker stuff is at the beginning, but if you can get past that, it's not a long CD, and you'll be rewarded with some more intricate, more layered, more beautiful, and emotional songs that are worth a listen. From there, check out Under the Iron Sea. I cannot stress that enough. If you enjoyed this and want to see them at their highest, Hopes and Fears, Under the Iron Sea, definitely worth a listen. That is my time. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you like or hate this album and your reasons why. Let me know other albums from 2019 that you'd like me to review. Share this with your friends. And most importantly, subscribe to my channel. That way I know you enjoy what I'm doing and want to see this channel become bigger and better for the future. Until then, this is Music Fan, and I am signing off.